Hi, this is Rob Bowerman, and I'm president and founder of the Bowerman Group. We're a leading executive search firm for specialty and luxury brands in North America. And welcome to summer 2020, interviewing in the age of COVID, when everything is changing regarding the way we're meeting candidates. So much of the process that was once conducted in person is now being done via video, like Zoom and FaceTime. Hires are now being made by Zoom. More employees are working remotely, and personal interaction continues to be limited. We're likely going to be facing this for a while. And although a virtual interview process is definitely the safest thing to do right now, we are starting to find that live in-person interviews are happening again. In person, interviewers and candidates do tend to have a more natural, more in-depth conversation than over Zoom, and candidates may also want to observe the workplace, see their potential new boss, see how they're interacting with other employees outside of the interview setting. And make no mistake, though, the candidates are also going to be very carefully assessing how this interview is handled as a sign of how your company cares for employees. And conversely, you as the interviewer can also assess how the candidate is behaving in this new normal. So this does add a level of complication to the process. Let's face it, our society still is not aligned on what constitutes proper in-person interaction in the age of COVID. And the interpretation that either party in the equation isn't showing the right level of care and concern could derail the whole interview process. Face-to-face interviewing in the time of COVID requires planning, clearly communicated guidelines, and consistent adherence to frequently changing safety measures by both you, the interviewer, and the interviewee. So this isn't a time for anybody in the process to emphasize personal values that shun caution or mask wearing. Just remember, you want to attract this person to your company. This is your chance to show how your organization respects its employees. Based on what we've observed within our group, we've created a guide to ensuring successful in-person interviewing during the time of COVID. And you can download this guide through the Wisdom section of our Bowerman Group website. But here's a few highlights. For starters, in the interview invitation itself, be sure to set expectations and share your interview protocol. And these things should include, first of all, asking about the candidate's exposure to the virus. And if you aren't comfortable with the answer, postpone the interview. This isn't ideal. It's going to delay the process. It might be better to just accept at this point that a virtual interview is the best option. But then if you do proceed with in-person interviews, establish clear guidelines such as being expected to wear a mask, wearing it properly, hand sanitizer is going to be available, that all interaction with company employees is going to be physically distant. And then assure your candidate that you and your colleagues will be observing those same guidelines that you're asking them to follow. And then just stick to it. Ensure your candidates that you've taken the proper steps to disinfect the space that you're going to be in. And very importantly, particularly if you're in a city, provide an option for parking, either in your building or covering the expenses for a nearby lot or a garage. Don't assume that the candidate wants to travel via mass transit. We just aren't there yet. This is a small step that's really going to make a big difference in candidate hospitality. Once you get to the day of the interview, provide everybody who's going to meet this candidate with an electronic version of the resume, so that will avoid in-person contact between the candidate and your team. And from the time that your candidate enters the company space until the time they leave, make sure to keep 6 feet apart and just stick to that through the entire process. Be a good host, follow the rules, and remind everybody that sadly handshakes are still taboo. And another small thing that matters, if the candidate didn't bring their own bottle of water, provide a sealed bottle and maybe some disinfecting wipes that they can use before they open it. Ensure that you've reserved a spacious and quiet space for the interviews. You want to be sure that you can hear each other, both in words and tone, to cover the impact that you're going to have a mask over your face. And if you need to, after viewing the office, take the interview outside, and that might ensure that you have a more safe, physically distant space. Scout out the location ahead of time, have a plan for this if the weather doesn't cooperate. Just a funny side story on that. Just a couple weeks ago, my wife and I had to meet with a lawyer to sign some documents. We met in an outside seating area that was arranged by the office. We were physically distanced. It was a nice day. Everything was great. until the lawn sprinklers came on. So just avoid things like that at all costs, although in that case we did have a good laugh and a few wet contracts. So back to the interview. Once you're in the interview itself, your rule has to be to defer to the comfort level of the most cautious person in the room. You can't say, oh, it's okay, and just let down your guard. Meet them where they are. Be aware of your body language and your tone. Remember that your personality and your reactions must rise above the mask. And at the close of each conversation, offer your contact information electronically, avoiding business cards, again, so you remain contactless. And again, no finishing the meeting with a handshake. Then escort your candidate to the door, remaining 6 feet apart, offer another shot of hand sanitizer for the road, and they're on their way. So yes, you can have a positive interview experience, but just don't try to wing it. Being well prepared is going to help you and the candidate have a pleasant, productive interview, and it's going to accomplish your goal, assessing your candidate as a good fit for the organization. And again, the best overall rule is to adjust interview protocol to the most cautious person in the equation. So as I said before, meet them where they are. Show that you're a caring organization that truly values your employees. Stick to these guidelines, adapt them as things evolve, and just err on the side of caution for now. You'll then also start becoming more comfortable with the process yourself. I hope you found this helpful. Check out the guide for more details, and I'd love to hear from you with questions and comments through the link in this email. Have a great rest of the summer and stay safe.